Hi everyone. Today we are witnessing messy internet history again because yet another beauty YouTuber who has not been relevant in multiple years is making a video addressing controversies so long after the fact that it is genuinely pointless. And as you could probably tell by my cadence, I wasn't happy about it. As she predicted correctly, perhaps the only thing correct in the entire video. Clock it, divas. All right, let's get into it. But before we get into everything, links, source, and ways to support the channel, all that kind of stuff, all down below, including YouTube members and patrons and all the other fun stuff. Also, thank you so much to my YouTube members and patrons that are currently with us on the channel. Names on the screen. Right. Only two parts of the video today because we're just discussing the new video that came out. We're also going to talk about Peter Mon's video because that's out. I wanted to discuss Paige Kristi's video, but I would like to not have to do any work tomorrow for once. And as of right now, it's not out yet. So womp womp for me, I guess. All right. So part one will be the initial controversy and part two will be discussing the new video that came out. So let's get right into it. Quick intro today. Part one, initial controversy. So there were several people who were main reporters on the previous Raw Beauty Kristi controversies that have been happening the last couple of years. Peter Mon, Paige Kristi, drama channels like T-Spill, Spill Sesh, that kind of thing. CC Urez, CC something, I can't remember. Kristi mentioned her, but I forgot to put it on the list here. And little old me. So I rewatched all of my old videos on this because I could not remember what happened and I wanted to bullet point what I talked about in those videos before I get into what I'm going to be talking about in terms of what had come out as of filming. What day is it today? Saturday? It will be the same day this comes out. So Saturday, October 18th. So I guess the 16th. So here's what I had talked about in like my videos. Okay. So all this, like the main, like, what Kristi's calling like the cancellation controversy situation started in July of last year. So before this, there were cracks showing in terms of Kristi sort of leading down a different moral path than what was perceived as her intentions in the content that she had been making prior. Okay. I say this in the sense of there was not addressing that she was still following and supporting James Charles, even though she called out Colleen Ballinger as a Rhetoric before, but then was still seemingly supporting James. It's like the calls come from inside the house, diva. Things like sounding like she was weirdly hesitant towards medications for her child and also towards herself, talking about like a hesitance towards the use of SSRIs. Kristi moved to a remote area of Washington, started homesteading, really ramped up the Zach and Kristi channel. Now, a lot of the things I brought up, here's the tea, y'all. I don't really watch my old videos back. I'm not really like that, like into myself, really. I watch them once they're on YouTube because sometimes YouTube somewhere in the process, like when I compress my file, blah, 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 gets lost in the sauce, and then sometimes I have to, like, clip something out or re-upload it or blah, 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 or I rewatch them if I have to revisit them for a topic like this. So many things that Kristi says nobody proved, nobody brought up, nobody made these logical ties, I do in my video, but she also references some of the points that, as of all the videos I've watched, only I made, but doesn't mention my video. But mentions a video, like has a thumbnail of a video with 3,000 views. Mine had 95,000 views. Better views than she's had in a long time. Clock it again. There was a picture of what people thought was her son holding a God's Children Are Spoken For sign at a 4th of July parade. Except Kristi still liked the post with the kid holding the sign with her Facebook account, which was the main image in the Reddit that was posted that Kristi is so pissed about. Kristi's sister had lost a child to what I recall was a stillbirth, something along that line, and then dove really deep into Christianity. Kristi announced that she was moving, or there was going to be a homeschool compound on her property in her gazebo, like as this homeschool co-op, as the focus of everything. Okay, the like specifically rescuing kids from the world's darkness. Now here's the tea with that, okay? Actually, no, I'm going to get into it when I get to her actual video. Something else that Kristi ignored said, there's assumptions that I have all these ideologies, blah, blah, blah. Your husband was following really weird alt-right conspiracy Instagram accounts and interacting with the posts, and you are all about your hubby, and you're doing a lot of crunchy mom stuff, and there are very, very strong ties to homeschooling, homesteading, and thoughts of being repressed, and now you started using the term woke mob unironically. I hate to insist that they can act entirely one way, do every single thing one way, as in I am tied to an evangelical Christian co-op, whether directly or indirectly through your sister, that blames the public school system for child suicide, even though you could have easily pointed the finger at other violence in the school systems of the United States quite easily, and for some reason there was a focus on that, which was really strange. Then also talks about guiding through Christ and the evils that are taught through the school system, the same exact language that other state representatives have used to defend the use of alt-right fascist education platforms like PragerU to put them into the school system, or mandatory teaching of the Bible. So you're saying you're supporting all of these things while not saying, I support all of these things by interacting with them, financially backing them, by having them by having the school on your property, working with your sister in them, and being in the same vicinities in these parades and stuff. Which is so weird, because also you're giving this whole protect the kid energy. It's always about protecting your kid. You were so concerned about looking performative due to your association with somebody who has admitted to sexting minors. Sorry about the fan noise. I forgot to turn my boyfriend's laptop off because he never turns it off. And it always sounds like a fighter jet flying in real time. I got my computer liquid cooled because I love an ASMR moment for y'all by hearing my sweet, sweet voice. Anyway, that's fixed now. He just texted me and I realized it was on. Very annoying. Anyway, I made a follow-up video in this sweater also. That's the other thing. We're trying to do continuity in this BE. Because I also just think it's funny to wear the sweater from where I got my Masters of Education to duke it out with an ignorant homeschool supporting entitled beauty influencer. I just really like duking it out in the fit. It's that's also the same shade of green that she's wearing. That's why I'm period. Because there's one thing that I liked about Kristi was loving the little forest aesthetic situation. That's why my desk looks like this now. But that's kind of where it ends at this point. Anyway, so I talked about how Kristi made a video talking about essentially letting her YouTube channel die. What's very funny about this is letting the channel die, blah, blah, blah. I'm so above all of you peasant, idiotic commentary channels that are bodying me in the views, by the way. Oh, they're trying to silence me and you. Oh my God. What is this talking about? I will report back on what this video is about via voiceover right now, because I actually want to know what she says here, because Kristi's media analysis is not something I have a particularly prevalent trust in, and this has a pretty thick like to dislike ratio that's not that ideal. So I'll take a look at this and I'll report back. Okay, I watched the other video that I talked about, the they're trying to silence me and you thing. It's just oh, they're gonna make us have a social credit score, and the social media platforms are surveilling us, and we're becoming apathetic, so the government will be able to control you. Which, there is obviously a lot of, and she talks about it in, surprisingly a pro-Palestinian context. I just surprised that she put that on, YouTube just because of, the algorithm process, which, I mean, in turn proves what she's saying, too, which I can give credit to. Video's not as bad as I thought it would be. It is a lot of, I find it's so strange that Americans seem to always value the freedom of speech and expression, which is valuable and I love, above everything else though, all the time. She does some efforts to social services too. Says essentially like the government's focusing on like surveying you instead of providing anything good for you, and that everybody should pay attention. This is where you start losing me. Everybody should pay attention because, oh well, what happens if it's a left-wing government that then starts suppressing right-wing voices? A lot of concern of both sidesing a lot of things. Just saying. But yeah, it's just like, oh, there's the FBI live in your phone. It's not much. Like, and she's kind of like, oh, I'm learning at the same time as you, and she's doing her makeup at the same time. I really think our diva needs to touch a bit of grass, though, just kind of in general. But yeah, that's it. It's nothing crazy. Anyway, let's continue. So I talked about, she had made a video talking about letting the YouTube channel die. Clearly, she's still uploading all the time, so that didn't happen. She said that she thought her career would continue to skyrocket post-2020, and then that didn't happen. Doesn't acknowledge the fact that you come for makeup videos. And she says, like, it's because I don't do, like, negativity anymore, even though if you look at her channel right now, still many of her most popular videos were, like, reviewing makeup. Her most popular video is, like, a pregnancy announcement. And, like, a birth story. Mine, the birth story has traumatic in it, which is crazy, but anyway. Following Jaclyn Hill makeup tutorials, following Huda Beauty makeup tutorials, like, a lot of it is, like, pregnancy Q&A. It's a lot of it is not necessarily, like, negative content. Some of it is, some of it isn't. But it's just so strange because she claims it's all, like, negative content. And you built your platform off of it. Now you reject everyone that came in for it. It's going to cause an audience disconnect and your ignorance to insist otherwise, but yet claim that you're this down-to-earth person. She said her views are bad because she wasn't being a hater anymore. Whatever. And then wanted to upload Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then that did not happen very clearly based on the upload frequency that I can see here. She's uploading more frequently because she seemed to have kind of uploaded only like once or twice a month. Now she seems to be uploading at least 2 or 3. It looks like about once, similar upload frequency to me, like about once a week or so. But yeah, and what's so funny is the video about her channel dying was the most popular video in like months and months and months, and then proceeds to be the most popular video for months and months and months and months. And this one is now the most popular video in months and months and months. They finally addressing the rumors, and it's only at 68,000 views. Right. And I say that, girl, my views, blah, blah. Also, I have another job. Let's be so serious. Because that's my thing too, right? Like, what I really hate is when, which I have a video about this, like cooking up in my brain that I'm planning, and I'm working with research diva Norm, my queen of my existence, on this one. We're talking about like influencer of like financial entitlement and like socioeconomic cultural divides and stuff like that. And the thing is with that is like, there's a big, and why I always bring up like, well, diva, I have another job, blah, blah, blah. It's because I'm so tired of people clawing at their desire for relevancy and the open pockets of like their viewers when they have either never evolved or tried to completely disregard and throw out their audience, or are acting dishonestly and then are mad that they're not catching a bag like they did before. Pretty basic answer as to why that might have happened, diva. Like, let's be so serious. But now let's move into the new response video because, oh my god. So let's get into it. Part 2, new response video. All right. So I script these in like real time, okay? I never watch a video, or not never, almost always, because I don't want to say never, because there's probably been a time where I've watched something or listened to something while doing something and then got back to it after, okay? Like before somebody tries to catch me, but 99.99999% of the time, I live script. So like my initial reaction to the video, I script, and then, but they're more like bullet points so that when I'm talking about it and I've seen it again, I added more input. And then when I'm editing and I'm watching the clips back, I put the little sad cat voiceover if necessary to kind of talk about these things in more depth. I wrote verbatim, I'm going to be pretty mean in this, I feel like, because I'm watching the video as I script, and all I've seen so far is 20 seconds of a TikTok that Kristi herself posted to promote the video. I'm genuinely going into this not just trying to see this as rage bait, but girl, the way she's positioning this, I gather a diva needs a bag to buy raw milk and beef tallow with a side of essential oils. That is what you can see me reading with my, that was 100% verbatim how I wrote that. That was what I was feeling at the time, which at the time was like 4 hours ago. I'm going to list points from the video, and then I'm going to include clips where I feel necessary. I was trying to talk about this before, and then I got distracted by the laptop fans. I don't usually rewatch my videos very often unless I'm going back for something, blah, 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 talking about this. I ate her up crazy in my first video where I talked about how homeschooling's irresponsible, the curriculum design that they were showing was dishonest, the language that those child co-op, the homeschool co-op was using was dishonest. I explained the homeschool system. I brought up the literal, like, at one point I had brought up the Quebec homeschooling curriculum page. Okay? Like, and what's so funny is the entire, like, spoiler alert, I guess, the entire basis of this video is Kristi trying to position herself in an authority over both the events that had happened, but also knowledge on the circumstances of those events. In that I mean, she's like, you guys are talking hella shit where you don't know about how, like, essentially, like, Christianity in that area is working and, like, the beliefs of the people that reference in the Reddit posts and stuff like that. Her views on whatever LGBTQIA plus blah, 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 in terms of tying that to her beliefs or her practices in terms of things like homesteading and crunchy mom vibe. And third, and most importantly, this is a big part of the video, she positions herself as all these people who know nothing about how schools work are talking so much shit. People who don't know how schools work. People who don't know how schools work. People who don't, and I can pull my teacher certificate, I will get up. People who don't know how schools work. Specifically both referencing and dodging points about that someone who knows how schools work talked about. Crazy. So let's get into it. Video is titled Finally Addressing the Rumors, and the thumbnail's pre-scandalous, has the screenshots of the don't mess with our kids thing and all that stuff. Video starts with Kristi reading a seemingly like a message for comment or something along that line from a journalist that had said that to her, where she tries to be funny by maybe referencing something. It sounds like she's quoting something, but I can't really tell. Where she tries to be funny and then she's like saying that somebody's like, you could be an investigatory journalist. The term's investigative journalist. I even looked it up. I looked up first if investigatory was speaking 1.5 languages has cooked my brain forever. Investigatory, callis, was a word. It is. I've never heard it be used in that context before. That's why I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Except I looked up, is it investigatory or investigative journalist? It's investigative, like I thought it was. How's your prospects of teaching English? Maybe don't homeschool them. Anyway,
I'm a reporter working on a piece about conservative social media content aimed at women and girls. I am focusing on how various beauty YouTube influencers have become associated with what some people would call alt-right pipelines, content that falls into an algorithmic pathway that can lead to more extreme conservative views. Kristi is mentioned as one example of a beauty guru who has been scrutinized for posting so-called crunchy content about things like homeschooling and homesteading, two genres that extremism researchers have identified as potential entry points to alt-right pipelines. It also notes that online sleuths linked an anti-public school religious fundamentalist mission statement to the homeschooling co-op Kristi shared content about. Please let me know if you have any questions. I have so many questions. Do you understand that the world does not revolve around you and you do whatever it takes, ruin as many people's lives as you can, just so long as you can make a name for yourself as an investigatory journalist, no matter how many friends you lose or people you leave dead and bloody and dying along the way, just so long as you can make a name for yourself as an investigatory journalist, no matter how many friends you lose or people you leave dead and bloody and dying along the way.
And here's my tea with this. I don't owe her tolerance. I don't. I really don't. Oh, and also completely aside, this lady on TikTok makes dirty sodas. I saw this on TikTok, as mentioned. This is it's like green apple, blue raspberry, and like heavy cream, and like a diet Red Bull. I have Witch's Brew Alani blue ras cream because I don't have green apple syrup. Anyway, that's the bevy today. What I'm trying to say is I don't owe her tolerance. I don't. In that especially, a lot of the ideas that she was platforming, or a lot of the like conspiracies that she was talking about, the issues of modern medicine, the issues with how she was like parenting and stuff. And this is going to get me a lot of hate, and I don't care. How you parent your kid, newsflash, affects other people. Whoa, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? The way that your child interacts with other children, the way that your child integrates into society, you have impact on that. You do. So like when you raise your kid like and then your kid goes to school and then bullies the out of the other kid, then that kid gets traumatized. Like children don't like have the knowledge or the perception or the consent in a lot of their actions. Are just like, they have, like, their brains aren't formed. They're kids, bro. You cannot discuss on a platform with 1 million people disinformation and misinformation about educating children on the crux of bringing into to your property a homeschool co-op that lies about the positionality of the public school system as this devil-fueling hellscape, and demand tolerance, especially when I know so much more about education than you. I'm gonna interject here so I don't sound like my head is so far up my booty that, like, I have, like, no self-awareness. That's not what I'm getting at. The reason why I'm saying, like, you're acting this way, even though I know more about this than you or whatever, this is like a general statement to the fact that so many people, I talked about this in my unschooling video too, so many people utilize and weaponize their personal gripes on either moral values that children need to be exposed to, like, oppositional opinions to their parents. That is how you shape somebody who can critically think. And they will say that the public school system is a means of isolation without being able to back anything, right? So much of Kristi's anxiety, so much of the things that she seems to be looking into are just very ignorant. And what it is that she's getting so mad that it's like, everybody is in my business, but the issue is that you're using your platform of 1 million people, so it's no longer your business. That's what I mean. What I'm saying is that so many people, and you need to know some things sometimes. I'm really tired of the anti-intellectualism of it all, the anti-establishment of it all, where people just think they know anything because they decided that they know it. And I really think that's what Kristi's doing, and that's why I'm so upset here. And then later I go into reading Richard Weaver talking about pluralism and pluralistic society. I'm just going to explain that a little bit before, because I found I didn't explain that well afterwards. It's that America is a pluralist society. Pluralism just means, like, that there's a large strand of information available to you, a large vast section of propaganda also available to you, that you need to be able to actively discern. In this man has a lot more faith in the people's ability to discern, because this is written before, like, alt-right Reddit or whatever, 4chan or whatever it is, has rotted everyone's brains. But the interesting thing is that Kristi, when I say the tolerance thing and I'm connected to tolerance, it's the demanding of rejection of pluralism on the means of criticism, but demanding its existence in the means of being able to believe all this random shit that she's probably reading on some sort of forum or on Facebook or from, like, Daily Wire or something about the school system rotting children's brains. And it's like, the whole point of pluralism too is that there's constantly, you're susceptible to propaganda. And then she later literally calls drama channels and people that are pointing out these things terrorists. Pluralism means and depends on the existence of a lot of other groups in society and how they interact with each other. So when I'm saying that she is rejecting pluralism, it's in the sense of desiring this hyper isolation to her being able to have the only opinion that's out there. And I read later in the book that is considered like an authoritarian rhetorical aspect. In terms of the pluralism taking in for reading these other opinions, that is referring to the fact that she accepts all these other groups exist and can take in information from all these other groups when trying to, like, read into, like, conspiracy, and also acknowledges and takes in these other groups as means of opposition because of this commune-y, like, isolationist feeling that's coming through, and how the direction of, and again, when I talked about, like, her husband liking the weird posts and stuff, that's why I have, like, these beliefs that she's in these spaces, and the, like, anti-medicine and the things like that. So that's why I feel this way. It's that other, and it's not just me, it's like other people come in with knowledge either on, like, child psychology or education or culture, or have other, like, they have their own children and their own education systems. And it's like, and what I feel like is very American with it is that, like, only my decisions affect only me. It's like, that's not true. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Nothing exists in isolation. That's the point I'm trying to make. I wanted to clarify it. Yeah, I didn't pop a kid out, Diva, But I wrote multiple research papers, multiple projects across both of my degrees, and worked with hundreds of students in so many different circumstances. I worked private teaching where I made my own curriculums for them. I worked with distance learning and like athlete students. And then I worked in like a high school proper public sector. You cannot, and I will read about this actually now because I'm pissed off. Richard Weaver talks about this, and this is really giving, I want to say it's giving American crazy in the terms of the way that she's acting. Thing is, it's like, I'm Canadian, right? It's like same shit, different pot type deal. Like, it's giving like, I guess like Western middle class tea. But I want to read like the start of a responsible rhetoric, framing why this demanding for tolerance and saying that the opinion against mine is lying and manipulation because I'm the stipulation of very specific niche aspects of it that have nothing to do with the large, bigger picture is the focus of most videos. This is a very Jaclyn Hill take, especially from somebody who used Jaclyn Hill in her like darkest time to build their platform, and then is claiming that their mother with their Mother Teresa or whatever, even though, well, I mean, maybe because Mother Teresa ended up being a monster. Let's read, okay? This is from A Responsible Rhetoric by Richard M. Weaver. Our discourse this morning, this is a lecture, I would gather by the context of how this is structured. Our discourse this morning is not much about great issues as about how to think and talk about great issues. I also don't have my glasses on, please don't get mad at me. And if that title seems a little presumptuous, I can only hope that what I have to say will bring it down to earth and show that there are many issues along the way in which we choose to talk about issues. Most Americans today expect axiomatic truths that we live in a free society. This is something that Kristi brings up too. Like, essentially, don't criticize me because like it's a free country type deal, which is especially in a free country that I'm scared to go to as somebody who lives in the next country over because I voice criticism towards it. Not giving that free, dog. Let's be so real. Let's continue. I often wonder, however, how many of us realize that a free society is by definition a pluralistic society. The pluralistic society is one in which there are many different centers of authority, influence, and opinion competing with one another, arguing with one another, trying by various means to expand their spheres of influence by producing a great variety of richness and animation. In such a society, there is no single voice, government, cultural, religious, or social. There are many voices, each speaking from its own point of view and striving to maintain itself in the general competition of belief and support. In dire contrast stands the monistic ideal society, experienced by many millions of persons in other lands, which do have only one voice, in which they work by many means towards effect a unanimity of opinion, belief, and settlement on all issues of life. That system bears the name totalitarian. It is by an obvious fact that these two are engaged in gigantic rivalry to capture the imagination of the world. Having described and outlined the situation, I now wonder the second time of the Americans who realize that a free society means a pluralistic society. How many realize that special demands with a pluralistic society imposes on its members? I am not referring to paying taxes, which you do without thinking. I'm referring to this. The pluralistic society, by its very nature, tolerates propaganda of all kinds of individual groups, organizations, and institutions, and particularly anything that is capable of articulation. And it does this on the strength of two suppositions. One, there are many subjects in regard to which we do not think that we have arrived at the finite in truth. These subjects are still under study and investigation. Not all evidence is in, not all the opinions have been expressed, and therefore debate must go on. Hence the activity of our newspapers, public meetings, legislative assemblies, etc. We accept the facts that, frankly, most issues, including some of our vital relation to our welfare, are still in the realm of deliberative forensics. The second supposition, and this is where there exists among our people of enough good sense, education, reflective intelligence to ensure there's a deliberative process in which we'll come up to the right answer. Not always at once, not always without friction or expense, but in the long run, it felt as if we arrived at a more sound conclusion than some would say a council commissioner or some other group delegating exclusive authority to think and to decide. In brief, it is the principle of our society that we can listen to propaganda from all the special interest groups, including that of incompetent administration, and do a pretty fair job of sifting the claims to be true or false. Here's my tea with this, and that's why I read that big old kind of giving boring. Actually, I might read that later, like finish that essay again. I haven't read that one in a long time, like all the way through. But here's my thing with this, okay? How, girl, are you starting your video by being really sarcastic and bratty and nasty when people were building these conclusions off of the things that you put out? You're now rejecting that off of, again, very specific details and negating a lot of the surrounding context. It's just bizarre. Now let's continue. Talks about the 4th of July parade, said her son was throwing candy. And then because her son was throwing candy, she became the CEO of a homeschooling Nazi cult or something, being very hyperbolic. Also low-key saying too much, but we'll get to that in a second. Talks about how the homeschool co-op had a float in the parade. Then she explains what a homeschool co-op is, pretending that no one's ever mentioned it. But then, let me put the clip in.
My sister was a part of a homeschool co-op, and their little homeschool co-op was doing a float in the parade. After being canceled and absolutely being dragged over the hot coals for this, I realized that people don't really know what a homeschool co-op is. So I'm just going to give you the brief definition of what it is so you can understand real quick that they're normal, and this isn't the only one, contrary to popular belief about me. A homeschool co-op is basically when a bunch of parents get together and homeschool their kids together. There isn't like a set teacher. There isn't a set type of person that goes to a homeschool co-op. It's just people that want to homeschool their kids, but they don't want to do it alone in their home. So they go to a place and they do it together. Sometimes there's like Montessori ones. Sometimes there's Waldorf school ones. Sometimes there's just Christian homeschool co-ops. Atheist homeschool, it doesn't matter. It's a little mishmash. That's what a homeschool co-op is. Just setting the stage so you understand what's about to come up. My sister was working with this little homeschool co-op and they were running it out of their little church. And the church had to move buildings. So the little homeschool co-op had nowhere to have their schooling because the church was no longer going to be open while they were switching buildings. They had nowhere to go. And my niece was part of the homeschool co-op. And so I was like, well, if you guys can't find a place, if you don't find anywhere that's free, you guys are welcome to use my gazebo. I have a gazebo outside. We've done harvest parties in it. I've had a wedding in it. We do stuff in it all the time. Like it's the place where we host events. They needed a place that was free. Nowhere else was free. So they came to my gazebo and we made it out of like a little forest school. Now there's a big misconception going around that number one, I was building a school on my property, which is what a lot of people said, that I was building an anti-LGBTQ homeschool. We'll get to that in a minute. That I was the leader of a homeschool. But I need to just say one thing. My kid doesn't go to school yet. He's this many. So
now here's my thing with this. I wonder who wearing a green sweater in a room with some little flower prints hanging on the wall. Talked about Waldorf schools specifically in context of Robbie to Kristi. Bestie in grad school and I did a project together, and I think I can actually still pull up the paper, even though if that class had the world's biggest hater, it was me. We talked about this school that had, yes, it's right here. It is called, there is a paper that I will, if I can't tag it down below because it's locked, I'll do like the citation for it. It's called Social Cultivation of Vaccine Refusal and Delay Amongst Waldorf (Steiner) School Parents, which is talking about this rich white people, university educated rich white people school system that doesn't have the vaccine requirements, essentially, like, to hyper simplify it, and the ways that the parents lean into pseudoscience and things like that. This is like a quote that says, Western culture today emphasizes active informed healthcare consumerism in which parents and patients are responsible for educating themselves so that they make wise health choices. This burden of responsible consumption infuses Western parents' experience with pediatric vaccination. That said, why are some parents more concerned about vaccines than vaccine-preventable diseases? What is to be done to counter these misplaced worries that spur dangerous choices? And then it skips down further and it says, moreover, rather than assuring conformity to scientific agreement on positions, high scientific literacy may in fact correlate with the contrary, as it does in regard to climate change, particularly for individuals with vested interests. High scientific literacy may also intensify vaccine rejectionism. This is what I mean. This is why I'm talking about this video, actually, because also it's alleged via the Reddit thread that I'll tag down below that Kristi has been deleting comments about vaccines. Then she talked about how her son wanted to wear a shirt that everybody else was wearing that had some sort of like Bible verse on it, and then Kristi goes like, so hateful, because it had some sort of Bible verse on it. I have thoughts about how I would want to phrase this without getting myself in trouble. First off, nothing exists in isolation, right? He's wearing the same shirt as all the other kids, where their parents think gay people are pedophiles in the same parade. Oh, that person was holding the sign of the God's children, whatever, at the front of the parade. Kristi had blindfolds and earplugs for all of the other people all the way down the line, including the people who gave the shirt to her kid. Because how are you going to this thing, not interacting with a single person somehow? Somehow when your son's throwing candy and all, it's like you're in a black vacuum vortex. Like, it's just a crock of shit, bro. Like, it's just bullshit. Like, I really, smugly claims that no one would believe her, that we're psychotic, and then talks about how people were doxing people that she knew and herself, and were signing people up for gender reassignment surgery. What's really funny about this is me talking about Kristi had me signed up for 10 different homeschool co-ops. So Miss Victim T Boots is like, man, like people, which again, it would be at worst a consultation, because getting anything like that done in America is like borderline impossible in most states. It's like, you got an email, Diva. You got an email. Like I said, I actually thought that signing me up for the homeschool co-op thing was pretty funny, I will admit. I've also been signed up for like, not Turning Point USA, but like something similar to that. I've been signed up for, there was like a few things. Here, I don't know, I'll check my spam filter right now, because there's probably some funny little situation. It's a thing too. It's like, that's being a public figure, period. I just emptied my spam inbox, so it's not fun today, unfortunately. I emptied it like 3 days ago. Damn, I had the homeschool co-op in there too. Yeah, I didn't know that she was gonna do this, because I would have kept it. Whatever, you have to bear my word or whatever. Don't believe me if you don't. I really don't care. Next. Now, obviously, the doxing and stuff like that, if there was like, I don't want to say like, if there was any in the sense of like, I'm doubting what she says. I just mean like, I don't really know the context. It's like, that's obviously bad. Like, that's just like, that's all I gotta say. But like, it's bad. Do not do that ever. Hello. Claims that she's not stand with the don't mess with our kids people. Okay, here's the tea though. The framing of the don't mess with our kids, and the framing of the homeschool co-op that you let on your property, because, oh my God, the poor people, their church was closed for like some reason, and they couldn't figure out what they were going to do for a month for the kids to be homeschooled. I don't know. They're homeschooled. They have homes. And I understand what a homeschool co-op is. I understand they need a meeting place. Rent something. Rent a hall. Here's my tea. Okay? I have a brother. I have family members. Isn't that crazy? If my brother was affiliated with an evangelical anti-LGBTQIA plus homeschooling co-op, and they needed a little office with a yellow bed to do their lessons in, I would tell him to kick rocks. I would tell him to kick rocks, bro. I don't understand how she thinks that's like, oh, well, I was just put in this, like, no, you weren't. No, you weren't, dog. Like, you know what I would have said? No, you guys are evil a little bit, actually. And it's like, I know what a homeschooling co-op is. I know a lot of statistics in reference to the success of homeschooling tend to ignore or not tie in the relevance of high socioeconomic class, the affordance of tutors, test tutors specifically in like testing rigged types of states, things like SATs and stuff like that, along with the fact that they have poor post-secondary success a lot of the time, or in social situations there's a lot of issues with that. Yeah, I'm like, you're talking like you hosting that co-op on your property, they had you in handcuffs. Kristi's gonna say that I'm part of the woke mob, period. If it means I'm not in whatever you're doing, dye my hair blue and give me some pronouns, diva. Dye my hair blue and give me some pronouns. As my coworker said, I'll be waiting for this she, they in your Instagram bio. Okay. Next. Then she's holy bro. I forgot about this. So when she says that, like, she's not gonna like fight with the drama channels, she says, we don't negotiate with terrorists. Which I wrote, holy dog whistle girl, in all caps.
Have listened to me had I said it. Drama channels, you guys don't understand. You're being manipulated. They are not telling the truth. And they're going to take this and they're going to be like, well, then you tell me the truth. No, we don't negotiate with terrorists. They sit around and they rile up the crowd and they get everybody pissed and they make the situation something that it never was. They start spinning a web of narrative that doesn't exist. And it's not.
One thing I will say though, Kristi's made content that gives Drama Channel realness. That you cannot, and even your own recent series, your hot take series, or whatever you've been doing, boring stuff clearly, is like really not. You literally have full face impressions testing from 6 months ago where you have like what looks like one of those like Huda Beauty mold looking ass things where it's like looks like mold spores. You're doing the same thing of like kind of trying to profit off of like absurdity that you deem is so morally corrupt. So like you stand on nothing, and then you're like, I'm a moral authority and I'm gonna call drama channels terrorists. Pack it up, girl. Pack it up. I know the giant property and making your own cheese is expensive. Let's get into something else. Okay? You do incredible FX makeup. Get into doing that. Photography, art, do something. Because this is absurd. This is absurd. Because here's the tea on this too. I stand on the things I talk about. And I talk about why I think the things from backed up research. I wanted to reference this to even talk about like the importance of like literacy practices and stuff. I just think that would be a little bit too boring. So thing is that it's there. I talk about it. I have a video on like on schooling and stuff that I'll link in the description. That could be your best idea. What's so funny with this too is so much of this video is like Kristi trying to, and I'll do like a little like me on OBS reading the comments like later. So much of this is Kristi being like the woke mob. The woke mob, dog, was your bread and butter and why you have your crunchy mom I hate vaccines house. In Minecraft, allegedly, I guess. Okay, in Minecraft, allegedly, I guess, because a lot of the things with specifically like the vaccines, it's like her kind of liking and interacting with things, screenshots that people have gathered, okay? Even if we ignore that, the weird speculation with the SSRIs, and when she says, like, I'm homeschooling my son because I have the means and I like to spend time with him, that also raises a red flag to me because your son's socialization and exposure to even bad things happening under a controlled environment is important for development. It's really giving boy mom in a weird way. Maybe it'll be a co-op so it won't be as bad, but she's really making it sound like all I want to do is hang out with my son, and it's like your son needs to talk to children. Your son needs to talk to children, not like. And the reason why I brought this up when I said the woke moralists are your audience is because this author, Daphne, talks about watching Raw Beauty Kristi in the video, or in the book rather. On one of my YouTube meanderings, I came across a woman from Massachusetts named Makeup Kristi. Now, I don't know if she's from, if that's actually like masking or not. Where is Raw Beauty? Just birthplace, United States. Thing is, I tried to look up if this was anybody else. I looked up Makeup Kristi in like oh my God, there's a French article. Hold on, what does this say? Oh, it's because I live in Quebec and it thinks I want things in French. Okay, that's not exciting. Point is, I don't know if she's from Massachusetts, but the thing is, this is definitely talking about because she references the Jaclyn Hill microscope things. I don't know why, because I feel like she's from Washington. But anyway, I came across a woman from Massachusetts named Makeup Kristi. In one of her videos, she tries a sort of dirty emerald eyeshadow in a hue calling immediately to mind the one Anne Boyer described in her poem. It's thanks to Makeup Kristi then that I know the real name for the mutant color. You know what it is? This is translated from French. That's why it's Makeup Kristi, because it's Raw Beauty Kristi. It's Raw Beauty Kristi, and this is translated. That's why it's Makeup Kristi, because the person who translated it doesn't know who Raw Beauty Kristi is. Anyway, she talks about just how Raw Beauty Kristi's love for like green eyeshadows essentially inspired her to get more into makeup. Okay, more of a story. But this person is like, this is like this is literally a feminist literature book. Okay, so feminist literature book diva was watching Raw Beauty Kristi look at things under the microscope. Okay, Makeup Kristi. That's so funny. I love French people. Anyway, Kristi continues by saying that drama channels are manipulative liars and then brings up the Peter Mon phone call but won't name him in the video but names him down in the comments. She homeschooled her kids. She talks about homeschooling her kids because she has the means. Like I said, that's raising flags. Like, okay, here's the thing with this too. Do I think like Kristi's kids in danger? No, I do not. Okay. Is it that Kristi has opinions on how to... See, here's my thing. I would not have opinions on like the parenting aspect if she wasn't platforming this as like this way to live. That's why, like, when you're making the raising of your kids content, then I'm gonna clock into the being mean factory. Okay, like that's why this is a thing in general, because I'm not just like looking at people's like kids and because I like studied because I went to school, I'm like, oh, you're raising your kids wrong. No, but when you're positioning these things that's like that require like hyper well, like just like being hyper wealthy, being isolated, that pose a lot of downsides for your child. I'm like, I'm here to be like, other people, I wouldn't do that. Apparently people contacted her sponsors and she got dropped by all her sponsors. I've been in controversy, my sponsors didn't get dropped, so I'm just saying like there might have been grounds. If there was articles written about you, there was countless videos that were able to, with people who are completely separate from each other, being able to tie similar conclusions based on the things that you have posted, that you have made money off of, then like the call's coming from somewhere. It says that you all tried to ruin my life. I wrote holy victim complex, which is so funny because then she's like, and I don't respond to things because you guys are going to say I'm trying to be a victim. Self-awareness. And then compares cancellation to Jenna Marbles and says there's no point of responding to anything ever. My next bullet point just says I'm speechless because that actually gagged me. That was so nuts to me. Like that, I just could not. I was just like, what? Okay. I did watch Peter Mon's video. I'm just going to skim that really quick. It'll be tagged in the description as well. It was really good. I enjoyed it. Peter Mon said, responding to Raw Beauty Kristi's new video. So he talks about how she had so much smoke for him and that most of the anger in the video was directed towards him. He talked about how other people had way better views than him, so she's not sure like why it was fixated on him specifically. He later brings up that it was because she felt something personal to him because they had like the phone call, which I would agree was kind of what ended up happening there. He talks about how Kristi says like, oh, things that are on the internet are fake and made up, and that's what I learned throughout this whole process. And he says, including your video, and I'm like,
she talked about this phone call, which I'm going to get into in just a second. She said that a drama channel got her on the phone and then twisted and turned everything she said. She also says something in her video, and I think this is very important. She says that that if you see something on the internet, it doesn't make it true, and that also applies to Kristi's video. Okay, Kristi gives very few facts in this video and leads with emotion, and I think that that's important when you're watching the video because a lot of people are saying, I never believed this, blah, 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 blah. I never thought anything about this, and I knew it was never true, and whatever. Well, there's a lot of things that go into the lore of what happened to Kristi the last couple years.
Brings up the political climate of LGBTQIA plus people in the United States and how when people are platforming these ideas that people who either care about them or are part of the community will feel defensive. And that's the thing, Kristi, if you're so adamantly in support of these people, why are we not doing campaigns? Why are we not doing videos bringing on other influencers that are in that space? Why are we not doing a single thing except saying, no you? Right. Clock said Kristi profited off of drama channels and the Jaclyn Hill lipsticks. I brought that up too. Kristi brought up Peter because it's personal and Peter's saying that Peter reads out some of the DMs and talks about how Kristi was like, hey, I really want to talk to you. I want advice on how to do this. And then when Peter Mon didn't glaze her in upcoming videos, like he feels like that she was trying to manipulate him into talking about her positively because she called him. Talks about the conspiracy and anti-medicine stuff and all these other posts that it built up and why people are perceiving this alt-right crunchy pipeline, which Kristi only says comes from those pictures at the parade. Peter Mon brings up this all started with the James Charles situation, which I did too. And then talked about how she had the unpopular opinion series, which I also brought up, where there's the like it's just giving drama channel vibe. Then Peter talks about specifically the phone call and says that he was like really surreal to talk, and he says that when he talks to new like influencers, when he talks to them on the phone, if that ever happens. He talked to Shane Dawson, stuff like that too. Compliment her art skills. They get into it. She reached out about what to do with the controversies they came out. He gave advice. This was particularly with like the James Charles stuff because this was like September of 2023. So this is the thing too. You started having these issues in September of 2023. So what ended up happening was they had months and months and months and months to build up where you could have stamped out this smaller fire and then had been able to keep up with everything as it came out. And then that Peter said it would give performative to unfollow him randomly after being called out. But the thing is, it's going to be performative no matter what you do. After that, people kept bringing up to Kristi that she hasn't unfollowed James, that she's interacting with these people, and that's strange. And she kept blocking them, which just makes her look guilty. Again, building up that resentment over a few months. Videos in past do show that Kristi had kind of referenced what James Charles had done in the past that was like really reprehensible, and then kind of like brushed it off. And when she told Peter that she had no idea, which was a lie. Peter does show that she did want to have a school on her property because Kristi claims that, oh, I just had the comment for like a month. I never talked about that. Puts a screenshot on screen, which I loved that. And then people are egging her on in the comments being like, oh my God, Peter's so evil. But these are the same people that were flaming Kristi in Peter's comments not that long ago. Hey, y'all. It's Egghead me because I'm just about to finish editing this video. So I got to edit this part now. But anyway, we're going to be sleuthing the comments. And also, we're going to go over some additional little receipt moments that I forgot to mention earlier. So, a lot of the comments at the top are glazing. This is because Kristi liked them. Also, the comments are an incredibly... thumbnail gag. Okay, I'm not gonna be that. Anyway, a lot of this apparently people are saying it's monitored because people are commenting things and they're getting it deleted, which we will be visiting my Twitter replies, my unbiased place for the people, and talk about what people were saying happened with this. So, love this. New fear unlocked, becoming a cult leader unbeknownst to myself. Love that. When all this came out, I literally remember sitting here thinking, isn't her close family member gay? And didn't she preach love for Manny MUA constantly? Doesn't she openly criticize things like MLMs are usually alt-right politically? Like, hello, were we watching the same person? Crazy work that these people are doing. It's really giving my association and proximity to gay people means I can't be homophobic. Which isn't true. I hear everything you're saying and everything you're responding, and I still feel like you should have said something right away. I know you don't feel that way, but the amount of trust you lost in the process cannot be regained. This, in tandem with other things, like who Zach follows an anti-vaccine stance you hold, people are just left to use their own common sense to where you stand. None of this should have been a surprise for you. I feel for you and loved and watched you for years. I still wish you well. Just my 2 cents. This person ate up. That is, I wouldn't necessarily be that charitable, but like that's exactly what the issue is. And also a little bit concerning that I can milk like a 40-minute long video to like an hour long yapping about it. But yeah, anyway, a lot of this, yeah, there are certain people in the world who are hyper political, and they're terrifying people, getting more and more terrifying every day. Again, this apolitical is never apolitical. As I said already, things don't exist in a vacuum. We've been over this. Yeah, it is just like such a weird, concerning section. Do you think any of the other concerns people had were valid? If you weren't aligned with these awful things that you agree are awful, can you understand why it'd be shocking, upsetting for it to appear that way? Oh, for sure. Absolutely, people want to know, and it makes sense. Flip that and try to see why it makes sense. I was rightfully terrified after being attacked. Explaining myself to my actual friends and having them drop me gave me zero confidence in responding publicly. I was in a state of trauma response and fear. I couldn't care what other people needed in that moment. I had to keep myself safe. Girl, it's like handcuffs. So strange. Anyway, so that is, obviously there's a lot, like, I say this because a lot of people are claiming to me that their comments are gone. Let's say, for example, this reply over here that says, I called her out in her comments and she called me a Reddit troll and a disgrace. Lol, calling everyone that criticized her the woke mob unironically. Right? So then, I wonder if that was the comment that I was able to pull up. But yes, I will also, hold on, let me pull up. I got a DM of a comment that someone put on the Reddit, but then couldn't keep it on the Reddit because they didn't have like enough karma or something. This is from, it's Malcolm YT, and he gave me the permission to share this. Oh, I'm blocking it. Hold on. First time in the subreddit, but I knew about the situation when it happened, and her comment section is obviously monitored, so I came here because I knew I wasn't crazy. She took almost 2 years to address this, at a time where the alt-right pipeline is popular because people are tired of everything being political. Clocked, I just said that, judging by the comments. I'm still waiting for her to address why she supports or supported James Charles. She's obviously trying to make people like Peter Mon and other commentary channels sound obsessed with her, when that's not the case. Kristi's own fans came to other content creators because she was ignoring her own fans' concerns. Also saw a comment calling Kristi out for supporting things like RFK Jr. and saying, I actually repost things making fun of him. Girl, no, you don't support him. Weird lie to tell. And said, I'm very conflicted about her response. It's so easy to come out and deny claims if you have nothing to hide. The way she speaks in the first half of the video is so matter of fact, but the sarcasm seems to be an attempt to mask the bits of truth in accusations. I don't know. Somebody being like, want the cliff notes? Don't watch my video for that, girl. Brevity's never been my strong suit. That's how I got a yapping job. But yeah, this is like the general discourse around it, because it's just so many people being like, girl, you waited 2 years and then blamed your audience for losing sponsors. Yeah, my Diva Bestie L saying, yes, Diva. Her vid was a masterclass in rhetorical deflection. She's blaming her audience for losing sponsors. And when she was silent for a year, it was 2 full, well, yeah, I guess it was a year and a half, eh? Still. Well, no, but the James Charles stuff was September of 2023. Like, that's how long ago it started. It is really, really jarring and shocking. Anywho, y'all. It is bonkers what's been going on. And Kristi is apparently, like I said, blocking a ton of comments. And yeah, that's that on that, y'all. That's all on this for now. I went off a lot, so I'm going to leave it here. Links, source, ways to support the channel, all that kind of stuff, all down below, including Patreon, YouTube members, all that kind of stuff. Lots more videos. I still have the other videos I keep referencing in my other ending, my conclusions. The new stuff keeps popping up. So, yeah, I hope y'all have an amazing day. And I'll see you when I see it. Email to suggest content in the description, which is the Mika SF content one. Please don't email the other one. And I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.
I don't like girls with muscle. Okay, tell that to your grandpa who just DM'd me and asked me to carry him like a baby.